This episode is in reaction to the recent interview that Rigathis Gashagago had with a local TV station. Uh, his character, the way he was talking in that interview, I think he was overconfident. I think he was too more confident than what he's supposed to have been. Yes, I know Muhammad Ali taught us in boxing that confidence also makes you win a boxing match. He was too confident. He was too sure of himself to an extent that I think he should be careful. You know, it is good to pretend to be overconfident while you are working it out. But if you rely on being overconfident, thinking that you'll scare the other party, uh, and maybe the other party is not that scared, then you are betting on the wrong horse. The other thing I wanted to say is that this thing that this was for currently there are two. The first one is between Rigathis Gachagua and Ruto, and the second one is between Rigathis Gachagua, no, not Rigathis Gachagua, Ruto and Muturi. Allow me to repeat there. The first one is Rigathis Gachagua versus Ruto. The second one is Justin Budi Muturi versus Ruto. The way they are fighting in public for a better, okay, is kiddish. I would even say it is not kiddish because even the kids don't fight that way. And these are the cream of the country. Look at it this way. Until the other day, Muturi was the co-leader of one of the three arms of the government. Ruto is the leader of the main arm of the government. Rigathis Gachagua, until the other day, he was the deputy number second in the main arm of the government. Some of these things, they are supposed not to come public. How many speakers have we had since Kenya's independence? Humphrey Slate, Fred Mati, they are the two Kalenjins, Professor Ngeno and I don't know the other one. There have been, they're about seven. They're about seven. I'm talking of Kenneth Marende. I'm talking about Muturi. I'm talking about Lusaka, Ken Lusaka. I'm talking about the fellow from Turkana. They can even reach 10. If it is the National Assembly, we have had around 7. But when you come to the Senate, there was Ekuro, or is it Ekuro? Then we had, we have around 4 or 3. So we have had very many speakers. And these many speakers have faced challenges when they were speakers. We have had many attorney generals. They never complained anything that they face. These are very kiddish, and even the presidents. We have had Jomo Kenyatta. Jomo Kenyatta died when I was in Form 3. We had Jomo Kenyatta. He had even an issue where he almost fought Jaramogi in Kisumu. We have had Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. We have had Mwai Kibaki. We have had Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. At no time has any president discussed his vice president or deputy president, except for Uhuru and Ruto. Uhuru was discussing Ruto by, I won't talk about, but there is one example I will say. He has a conductor where he's driving, and by the time, even before they reach where they were going, find that the conductor amepora watu. Now, of course, he's not supposed to say that, but you see, he said that Ruto likes money by saying amepora passengers. And we now hear of the fertilizer and other things. That is what I'm trying to say. They have seen a lot of things, the presidents, but apart from the last two, none of them has ever discussed his second in command. When we come to deputy head of state, when it comes to deputy head of state, they have faced a lot of problems. We have a case where Jaramogi said he cannot work without a salary. He had an office, but he had no responsibilities. So his conscience said he should resign. But he never said hardships he was going through. Maybe I think the first time he started talking is when Kenyatta was dead. He was so convinced, that what Moi had passed through Kenyatta's time, then he would allow him to criticize Kenyatta as a land grabber. So from the time he resigned, 14 years he kept quiet. Those days, 14 years was a lot, not like 14 years of today. Even for today's rate, being silent for 14 years is a long time. He never talked. He was replaced by Joseph Murumbi. Joseph Murumbi went through a lot. Joseph Murumbi went through a lot in 6 months, and he resigned and he died without even saying what he went through. Then came Moi. If there is a deputy head of state who suffered a lot, is Moi. Moi, in public meetings where people would speak in Kikuyu, in public meetings, people used to refer to Moi as Mutumia wa Kenyatta wa Kere. Those are the days, not like today. Today, we are gender sensitive, but those days, telling a man that he's a woman was deemed to be derogative. Moi faced that. Moi faced problems to an extent that there are reported cases that he was slapped within state houses. Various versions have come. Various people are said to have slapped Moi, but nobody, there's no day that Moi ever came out and said that I've faced this and that. Actually, it is well documented that one day Jomo Kenyatta called Moi for a meeting in State House. Not even, it was in State House Nakuru. And when he went there to State House Nakuru, the people who usher in people to the president's office did not tell Jomo Kenyatta that the vice president is around. No. People came, they bypassed him, went to see the president until the last time when everybody had seen the president. And it was said that, is there any other person who wants to see the president? This incident has been documented. That was in Nakuru. Moi never spoke. From Moi, the next vice president was Kibaki. When it comes to Kibaki, the system that was used, and we would always expect anybody who has been the vice president to, to understand when he becomes the president that the vice president is mistreated. But no, when Kibaki was the vice president, people close to the president used to call him the vice president of Nyeri. Not even Nyeri, vice president of Odhaya. He went through a lot. I can say Saitoti never went through a lot because Professor Saitoti has has a lot in common with Professor Kindiki. These are vice presidents, well, who behave as assistant presidents. I hope you get my point. I can also say Musalia, but Musalia was a bit different, although he was a vice president for weeks. Musalia has come out publicly to say that to him, he always saw Moi first and foremost as his maternal uncle. His stepmother is from Moi's area, Tugen and such things. The only two vice presidents who never had a problem were Wamalwa Kijana. Actually, Wamalwa Kijana, for the few months that he was the vice president, he was more or less a co-president. He was more or less a co-president. And you see, he did not like wielding his power. He did not like wielding his power. That is why he never collided with those around the president. That is Wamalwa Kijana. Or can I address him in his proper name? Michael Christopher Simiyu Ohwa Wamalwa. Now he was called Wamalwa Kijana, just like we have Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Kijana, as used here, means junior. So those two are the only deputy heads of state who really enjoyed their work. When you come to Mudi Awori, Mudi Awori was an affable person. He was not ambitious politically. He was not ambitious in lining his pocket or whatever. So there was, and then there was the age factor. Why fight a harmless uncle? From Mudi Awori, there was Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. But then Kalonzo Musyoka is somebody with a character of diplomacy, and the war was now between him and the prime minister. The issue of Ruto being a deputy president, deputy head of state, is well documented. But you will have to note that Ruto used to say that he was praying that in future no other deputy head of state should go through what he went through. I think Rigathi Gashagago was or is naive to have thought, to have even imagined that being the deputy president, he was the deputy head of state, combined deputy head of government, deputy commander-in-chief, deputy such and such a thing. It was at the airport when General Gola showed him that the CDF is the deputy head, or the CDF is the deputy commander in chief. How did this happen? It happened that when the president flew and Rigathi turned around and told people, you can now go home. The CDF told him, nobody's going. I think for those without a military background, I'll tell you what it means. You see, you have escorted the commander-in-chief to the airport. He flies away. How sure are you that he will not, somebody will not go somewhere and tip people who can throw a bazooka at the president? There is a time when Rigiji said publicly that when he was still in the office, and that is what I want to say, it is always good for these people to speak while they are in the office. We have had people in the past who spoke while they are in the office. It is good for you to tell us what happened. Stories like fertilizer, stories like Adani deal, stories like what Muturi and Rigathi are saying. But it would be better for you to speak them while you are in the office. It is better for you to speak when about abduction, when your son is not among them. Those questions rise. Suppose your son was not among the people to be, or the people had abducted. Is it possible that you would not have talked? So that is what I'm saying. It would have been better to tell us while you are there. But then, better late than never. It is good you are telling us what is happening there. So I had reached a place where I said Rigathi Gashagago publicly said that by the fact of you being the president's friend does not mean that you have power to order me around. He said that when he was still in the office. It was confirmed by no other person than Ruto, because while Ruto was addressing a press conference at Sagana Lodge, he said that he started having problems with Rigathi, because every day it was cases. One day he comes, he says, blogger, whatever, whatever. I think blogger was Itumbi. He comes and complains about blogger. I sit down with him. Then from there, he complains about Farouk. I want to repeat, I think for the 5th time, that vice presidents have gone through tougher time than you. And when they have gone through a tougher time than you, there are safari ants here. When they have gone through tougher times than you, they have not even talked. Ruto is right saying, why should a whole vice president or deputy president feel threatened by people like Itumbi, by people like Farouk? Me, I would add by saying, when you go there, you should realize where the power belongs. You are more educated than Kina Jaramogi, you are more educated than people like Jaramogi, people like Joseph Murumbi and whatever. And they knew that it is easier to confront the president than to confront his several PAs. I think that is the problem that comes with being a first-term MP, and then you become a vice president. This issue of being whatever, whatever, to the extent that you even become a vice president after being in the cabinet for even up to 10 years. It assists you to. That is why you find that issues being discussed at the cabinet is now being disclosed. It is being disclosed to an extent that it is even said that some of the documents, and you see, this person is a lawyer. He's saying that he had photocopied some of these documents and he has it for proof. That means that he's exposing himself, because in the Official Secrets Act, you are not supposed to remove documents that are in the file. For example, if the NIS is going to have a meeting with you, they come with all the files, you read, you do whatever, you memorize that, you internalize that, and then they go with those files. People think I'm careless with what I'm talking, but I'm very careful. Making direct reference to a report, an intelligence report, is definitely, for example, I said Biwott killed Ouko. Then I just say that. But if I say it was in what do you call? Uh, I want to mention just, okay, I may not mention a file, not because I'm afraid, but because after some time I'm unable to, yeah, security as, yeah, there was a file which was called security aspect of political activities. Then I say the file is saying Biwott shot Ouko, blah, blah, blah. I talk of that particular file. I have contravened, but I've never referred to any file of such at the time. After all, uh, even this thing about Ouko being killed by what, it was not in the security aspects of political activity. No, it was not there. So direct reference means that you have contravened the Official Secrets Act. So that is how it is going. It shows us, it unfortunately shows us that at one time, we had a petty president and we had a petty deputy president. If you see, it is good that we are getting those information. It is good. It should, but then looking at it from a statesman point of view, those two seats are so important that even in the first place, the deputy head of state should not even have complained to the president that is being harassed by Itumbi, by Farouk, and so on. Two, even right now, the president, how many petty things had Jaramogi told Kenyatta? How many petty things did all those, apart from Mudi Awori and Wamalwa Kijana and maybe Kalonzo Musyoka, how many petty things has the number two ever complained about people surrounding the president? So even the president talking to a press conference and making reference to that, it is very petty and it is beneath his position. That being said, I did not like the way, one thing I've seen, I've not forgotten what I'm saying. One thing I see in Rigathi, there are two things, is that he's always very sure of himself. And two, he is somebody who thinks that he speaks for the mountain. Well, I'm a village mate of his. My mother's village is a place called Kayaba. So for those people who have been to Madera West, know how far it is from Mwamunyoro to Kayaba. So that is what I wanted to say. He's my village mate, but he talks with so much confidence. And when he wants to put across, I have a brother I have a brother, same mother, same father, my second follower. He usually talk about things to do with our parents. There's times he can talk about my father, our father. There's a time he can talk about our mother. And when you talk to him, doubting what he's saying, he will tell you, let us go to mom's grave, but let us go to father's grave. I swear on top of dad's grave or mother's grave. He can come up with something and say, oh, mom said this or mom wanted this. You say, how sure am I of that? He says, let us go to mom's grave. I swear by the grave. Or dad used to say this, dad used to say this. You argue with him, he says, let us go to dad's grave. I swear by it. Uh, that is how, and then coincidentally, is the same age with Rigathi. They were born the same year. My second follower. Now, that is how Rigathi also operates. He says, people have said. For example, if he wants something to be done, he says, I'm listening to people. This is how people are. I have never been to Wamunyoro, and I've never been to a Munyoro complex in Karen. So I don't know what those people say, but I get the impression that him and my brother Kareithi are using the same tactic, coming up with a suggestion that to it is impossible to prove. Uh, that is how they swear. And that is but my understanding of Mlima people, especially Kikuyus, anybody telling you that the Kikuyus will vote this way or that way, 10 days to election, he'll be wrong. It only happens that 3 to 4 days, there is a way, even those days when we did not have WhatsApp, we did not have Facebook or whatever, as early as 1992. It would be said it has been decided. So whatever decision that will be made in the last week among the Kikuyus counts. But he's so much confident of himself, and I think the Kikuyu vote for the first time will go Luhya style. Uhuru will donate a sizable chunk to Matiang'i. Rigathi Gashagago will take a sizable chunk. Ruto will take a small chunk. I think what I'm trying to say is gone are the days when the mountain would vote unitary. I also want to say here that a week to election, all things constant, because Ruto now relies a lot on Raila's background. By Raila's background, I'm not saying Luo Nyanza, no. I'm saying the ODM areas. ODM areas, I don't want to mention them all, but you can see there was even a time when Mombasa, all the elected leaders in Mombasa were ODM. And ODM people, usually up to this time, they usually vote in one way. So Ruto should be having sleepless nights instead of spending time answering back ati alikuja akasema sijui blogger sijui Faruk. He should spend time in maintaining Raila, because should Raila people talk of one term, should Raila withdraw his support, uh, then the risk of one term becomes real. I heard him, Rigathi Gashagago, talking about the removal of the CJ and the bench. He is trying to misuse a situation that for political and emotional purpose. We must condemn the incidences. I think there was an incident in Kiambu. some months ago, where there was a funeral. You see, we small people are important in funerals because the person who had died was so much unknown even out of the village. He was ejected there. That is the time when tear gas was lobbied at him. Then there is the other day in church. That is, it's not good. But also, I don't like. Okay, there's nothing wrong. Everybody has a way of winning the seat. You may go to contest a seat by even saying that in our constituency, somebody from my clan has never been made an MP, so kindly give. Or you may say some funny thing, the end justifies the means. But some of the things that Rigathi is saying and doing are bordering on causing what do you call, they can even cause civil war, or they can cause a lot of problems. If you look at the type of jokes that Kivyutu was making after the election, most of it contributed a lot to what befell the country. In this, I'm talking about the removal of the Chief Justice and the Supreme Bench. He was so careless that he said, if you remove Martha Koome, usikuje hapa Meru. The last time I heard of that was in 1984, and it was spoken by none other than Lotodo. I'm no longer in service, but from where I'm standing, I can say that those people who want to remove Martha Koome and the Supreme Court are people close to Ruto, but I would not be surprised if later it comes to say that they are doing it without permission or even knowledge of Ruto. If you are the president, a lot of things are done in your name and you'll never know. You will remember the issue of Langata Cemetery. It was said that the then mayor, Majiwa, was it Majiwa? I'll be corrected. The then mayor and the then mayor and the minister for local government, Musalia Mudavadi, some money was given out for them to be given that money. Some money was given out for them to be given, but it never reached there. So there's a lot of cases where things are done in your name. I tend to believe that people like Abdi Nasir, you know, most of the initial judges who were employed when the Judicial Service Commission started were interviewed and and vetted by Abdi Nasir when he was the representative of the Law Society of Kenya. We have to take note here that people are doing that. You see, if you remove the what do you call? If you remove a judge, just any judge, not even the Chief Justice. If you are a lawyer like Abdi Nasir and you remove a judge, just a single judge, not even a judge of the Supreme Court, not even the Chief Justice herself, not even the whole bench. If you remove such a person, you make others fear. Abdi Nasir is a practicing lawyer. So imagine appearing in the High Court or appearing in the Court of Appeal and then making the judge know that I am responsible for the removal of the whole of the Supreme Court of Kenya bench. the judges will be intimidated in future. I'm not trying to say that the judges are innocent or anything. No, they are not innocent or anything. But those who are doing so, they are not doing it at the behest of the president. They are business people. They want to make these judges be so careful that next time you have a case in court, you approach them, and since they have a record of winning cases or intimidating judges, their price will be high. That is their intention, and they are very close to the president. So, for lack of more evidence, I would reluctantly, I would be very much reluctant to have a feeling that the president is doing it. So, but then, and some of the things they are saying, they are trying to insinuate that Justice Smokin Wanjala has been seen in public drunk. Yes, he has been seen in public drunk, but I think there was one funeral he attended, and when he was given a microphone, you could just know that he was not sober. Being seen drunk in the public is not a problem, but being seen to I mean, he didn't even reach. I'm trying to compare with an incident that happened in Kenya a long time ago. We had somebody called Justice Cecil Miller, who later became the Chief Justice. He used to have, I think, a mental problem, or is it alcoholic, where he used to remove his trouser, remains in underwear, and with a shirt and coat, and he was a former Air Force pilot, so he would start marching at along Taifa Road. So, walking around drunk or anything without saying something bad, or even without appearing in court while drunk, I think it is not a mistake. Rigathi Gashagago talked of Ruto wanting to manage the electoral circle by having members of the IEBC who are friendly to him up to Supreme Court. If this is true, then I think Ruto still has the nightmares of what happened during Justice Maraga's time. And if it is true, I would advise Ruto not to do that, because the person who was qualified to be the Chief Justice was Justice Smokin Wanjala. But then they saw the way uh, Maraga used to look. They felt that this is a humble person, a person that we can control. Let me tell you, Raila may even tell you, taking there your person is more painful when he does things that are against you, or by extension, if he is bought. Remember, both Isaac Hassan and Wafula Chebukati were both members of ODM. Now, if you go to ODM offices and mention those names, that is the easiest way of committing suicide. So if the president has that, then unfortunate. Then we go to the incident of selection. I think it is after him joining the opposition that he has convinced people like Martha Karua and Kalonzo Musyoka to now start insisting that they also put their people in the IEBC. But then, uh, it is too late, too little, too late. The way things have done, the way things have reached, the only thing and you see, in law, they don't change laws to affect whatever is happening. They should have made stricter laws of selection of what do you call interviewing panel. And then I'm also not comfortable with the way the law is written, I think they should have even looked at that. You see, the president is given two names for the chair, and is given, is it 9 names for commissioners to choose among them. I think in the future they should come up with a, they should come up with a, they should come up with a system that the list, the interviewing panel should give a complete list. Yeah, it is one chairman and 6 commissioners. I think in future we should go towards, in the future they should go towards a situation where the list given by the interviewing panel is final and the president cannot make it. It is just his duty to gazette that. I think that is where we should head to. He has warned the president not to divide the mountain. The mountain appears to be headed to division. And the division doesn't mean that you are as much divided as Luhya. If Uhuru takes 40%, Rigathi takes 30%, Kalonzo takes 10. Yeah, by that way, it is already divided because uh, it is because it has always been apart from 1992, it has always been voting one way. Now, if it has been voting one way, and then you find that uh, it is divided that way, then it cannot have a bargaining chip the way Rigathi Gachagua is fighting for. Uh, Rigathi Gachagua thinks that when he tells you something, you will follow it without questioning. Where Kenyans are not that way. Kenyans also think. He says that the president said that Mount Kenya East has a deputy president and a chief justice, and one of them has to go. My village mate, hey, let me tell you, currently our village, Madera West, has the Inspector General of Police and has the CDF. All are in one village. Hmm? And Madera has contributed to, the same Madera West has produced 2 commissioners of police. That is Gevi and that is Duncan Washira. Just the same village. Just like they say in Maryland, uh, all Meru bosses come from Imenti Central. So telling people that Mount Kenya East are being told that you cannot have a deputy president and a CJ at the same time, so the CJ must go. Rigathi Gachagua thinks that he's an Agwambo. You see, Agwambo, up to that last election, somebody even attacked me. I said Agwambo can tell a man that you'll give birth next month, and instead of a man saying, how possible is it for a man to give birth, the man is supposed to rush to start looking for diapers or baby show, something like that. There's somebody who told me that that day I was out of my head because, but if you ask people, they'll tell you that at one time, and that is why he's called Agwambo. If he tells you that he's going to plant arrowroots in Sahara Desert, people would believe it. So Wamunyoro fellow thinks that he's that way, that he can tell somebody something that does not make sense, and people follow. That Mount Kenya East were told you cannot have DP and CJ at the same time. But one village has the Inspector General of Police in charge of all the all the internal security, and it has defense security, chief of the defense forces, they are village mates. He did not see that. And you see, he did not see that, yet they are from his village. I saw a lot of time he was talking. He spent more than 90% of the time talking tribal, talking regional, talking whatever. And you imagine at one time, number two is looking at things on tribal basis. He talked of when I attacked Haji, Somalis came to him. When it was rumored that Wetangula will lawyers or Bukusu came to him, he should have talked like a national leader. And then he was saying, at when I talk about Mlima, people say I'm tribal. And then he talks of people being, he doesn't talk of people being sacked from any other place. He says, when you sack our people, when you sack our people, he kept on saying that. Then he was talking of Raila, Raila and Uhuru used to tell us about all this, and we as Mlima people did not listen. My goodness. Is he not the one who was with his yellow golden coat in handcuffs being taken to court? He has forgotten that. He's talking like a normal mountaineer who was told, and a normal mountaineer who was told that, a normal mountaineer who was told that ABCD and he was just following. This is somebody who had a vendetta. This is somebody who would even want to cry on. He would say, Uhuru, mimi ndio nilikutoa kwa pombe. Na right now he is he has forgotten that and he's talking like any other person from the mountain. And we were told and we didn't follow. He is making reference that Raila has been promised PM, and he's saying that upon Raila missing the African Union position, the only position he can go for is the presidency. I want to say this from where I'm standing. It's a beautiful bird there. From where I'm standing, if truly Raila was, a carrot was hanged to Raila in the name of Prime Minister, then whom do we blame? Whom do we blame? It's like somebody from Katwekera in Kibira coming to tell you that he'll buy you an helicopter, and you believe. Who is to blame? Is it the person who told you from Katwekera, somebody who pays 3,000 shillings rent, telling you that he'll buy you a 30 million helicopter, and you believed? During the interview, Rigathi Gashagago said that we were cheated by Ruto to call Raila Mogoroki. Mogoroki did not come from Ruto. It came from Uhuru. No, sorry. Yeah, it came from Uhuru. It is Uhuru used to talk in Kikuyu and say, Kemogoroki weke. He's so confident. He's so confident that he thinks that once the electoral commission is constituted, he will make a little general election. I have to tell you that Jaramogi necessitated a little general election because he was principled. Rigathi is also principled. If you want to measure the